Thank you and good afternoon. It's great to be here speaking about my favorite topic, sustainability in the aviation. I was nominated to this position 2008, but that doesn't mean that sustainability and environmental work for Finnair started at that time. We actually have had the environmental organization in place already from 1987. The first environmental report was published in 1997. So it's a long-standing work for Finnair, the sustainability and especially the environmental impacts of the aviation. But can we talk about the sustainable aviation? Usually the environmental people say that whenever the plane takes off, it doesn't do any good for the environment. And that is true. But we have to try and minimize those effects because at the same time, we can do good socially and financially, economical benefits for all the countries. And I think Mauno already in his presentation mentioned about the survey Beyond the Borders. That is a good example what the aviation can bring, the benefits in the social and economical side. And yet we can and we will minimize the environmental impacts that the aviation causes. With Finnair, the sustainability and environmental issues are really embedded in the strategy. It's nothing that we kind of glue over our normal strategy. It's in the strategy itself. We want to be the choice for environmentally and quality-conscious air travelers. Via Helsinki concept, that is our basis, we use the shortest routes between Europe and Asia, saving fuel, saving emissions. We have a smooth and congested transit at Helsinki-Vantaa Airport. That is also diminishing the travel time as well as diminishing emissions. Then again, we have a very new fleet and we are renewing our fleet constantly. That brings economical benefits for the company, but also for the environment. So these things actually go hand in hand. Environmental and ecological aspects can be very well combined in the aviation sector. What about the smart sustainability then? It means as many things. Reducing cost by having the new engines, new aircraft that require less fuel, emit less CO2 and the other emissions. It also means energy, water, electricity savings at the offices. We are now about to build the new headquarters, or it's actually going to be ready next June. That building will be LEED Gold certified. Less fuel, less energy used, less water used, less materials used, more recycling. That is also economically feasible for the company itself. Then again, we are mitigating the risk. We want to be ahead of the curve. The new emerging environmental legislation, especially in Europe, is touching us very hard. There will be emission trading scheme, or emission trading scheme is already in place starting this year, and we have to pay for our emissions next year. So we have every incentive trying to reduce fuel burn, try to reduce emissions at the same time. Also, noise levels, that's a big issue now also in EU legislation. We have to be ready, we have to be ahead of the curve. We try to work together with the ministries, with the governments, trying to find the best solutions for the company and for the environment at the same time, and for our stakeholders. Increasing revenue, that is probably there yet to come. At these days, about 90% of our corporate customers ask about the environmental issues. We do get questionnaires this thick from our customers asking about sustainability in Finnair. What can we do? What are we doing at the moment? We have to answer these questionnaires, but do they bring us more customers? At the current stage, I would say no. They don't bring more customers, but that keeps us in the competition. That keeps us there. And we are at that time trying to be as good as we can so that we can answer the questions of our customers and other stakeholders. But at the same time, that helps us to see the materiality of the environmental issues that are addressed by the aviation sector. And then, of course, preserving the revenue, trying to find best possible partners. For instance, this is something that we are now working on the biofuel sector, trying to find the best solution for biofuels, because we think that the biofuels are emerging. And we have to be ready. We have to be there also ahead of the curve, trying to find the best solutions, trying to find the best partners. Okay, what we are now working currently is with our stakeholders, especially with the customers. And this is in Finnish, but it means the customer journey. So every stage of this customer journey, we are trying to find the sustainable ways to develop our product. For instance, in check-in, we have developed the SMS and the internet check-ins. We are also delivering the boarding passes in the mobile devices, so that you don't have to print out anymore, so that you can have a smooth travel at the airport just showing your mobile device. That is something that we are working on and we've been developing for a long time and using as well. But we are also asking the best solutions from our customers. So now in this year's reporting, we try to map the whole customer journey, trying to find at each stage, trying to find the thing that we can do, we can offer, but also asking customers and other stakeholders what are their tips for that type of the travel or that phase of the travel, what they would ask us to do more. Another example, in our lounges, we have developed solutions that are environmentally and socially sustainable. We are trying to, as said, we are trying to think every phase of the travel, is there something that we could do better? And at the same time, this is a quality issue as well. We try to recycle as much as we can, and that's also diminishing the waste costs. Those are rising. The waste that ends up in the landfill is very expensive. Trying to find the materials that can be reused, that can be recycled, also reduces our cost, reduces the amount of waste going to the landfill. Then the cooperation is paramount here. I think in the field of environment, us airlines probably cooperate the most. We are all discussing these issues together as an industry. As Maunu said, we are probably one of the industries that are most progressive in finding the solutions on our own, not only waiting the legislation to come, but trying to find the solutions on our own. So this means also CDA landings means cooperation with the airport, with air traffic controllers. This is very important for us. We have this 4-pillar strategy for reducing emissions and the environmental impact. 95% of the environmental impact of airline comes from the engine emissions. So these 4 pillars are there to help to reduce those emissions, those impacts. Technological solutions, of course, are the most important. Every new generation of aircraft reduces cost and the fuel burn about 20%. And that means also the cost of the emissions that we have to pay from now on. Alternative fuels. There was discussion about that here already and will be, to my understanding, in the next session as well. Alternative fuels for us means biofuels. We haven't been testing anything else. We haven't been using anything else. Right after the certification came valid last summer, 2011, we did our first biofuel flights with used cooking oil. And the questions that we got, questions from the customers were, are they safe? And the next question, will it be more expensive, those flights where you are using biofuels? Actually, that would be probably the case because the cost of biofuels is now 3-fold compared to the normal fuel cost. And as we all know, the cost of the fuel is significant for the airline cost structure already. It's not feasible economically yet to use biofuels, but still we have to explore, we have to try and find best solutions there because this is the way to reduce emissions from the aviation sector as well. But these fuels have to be sustainable in every aspect. They have to be socially, environmentally, and financially sustainable before they can be used in a bigger amount. We are now at the moment looking for alternatives around Asia, that we could have also the long-haul flights fueled by sustainable biofuels. So far, the supply chain isn't there yet. There are only a couple of big players in the field, and the price level, as said, is still too high. We have ambitious targets. We set our targets to 2017 to reduce fuel burn and emissions by 24% per seat. This is very ambitious, but it is achievable by using these 4 pillars. We already could reduce our emissions from 1999 to 2009 by 21% per seat. So this is doable still, but it means lots of work, lots of cooperation, finding new solutions. We also have a target per year now with our Weight Watchers program to reduce costs and then the fuel burn by 2%, which means about 15 million kilos of fuel, about 50 million kilos of CO2 per year. That's a big amount of fuel and big amount of emissions. Then again, the operative measures taken. I was just mentioning the Weight Watchers program. So we have a Weight Watchers program for everybody else than the passengers. Even our crew members can take part to the Weight Watchers programs. But anyway, this means mainly the weight of the aircraft. We are going through every item on board the flight. We don't want to sacrifice the service. Service has to be there. We want to be a quality airline with good service. But even the service elements can be such that the weight is reduced. We've been changing our seats. We've been changing even the amount of magazines on board, trying to maximize the quality and minimize the weight, finding the new solutions for silverware, trying new vendors for the service items as such, trying to find durable, lightweight design elements. We will be announcing a big cooperation, branding and design cooperation next week. Cannot talk about yet, but there will be elements of this sustainability also embedded in that cooperation. Then again, we all know that it's also the optimal amount of fuel. Safety comes always first, but we've been having programs about reducing the weight of fuel also on board the flight. Then again, I was coming home from a meeting in Brussels, and the cabin crew member came to me and said, like, greetings from the cockpit. We are flying as slow as we can. And you all know what that means, and it's possible to do, but not all our passengers know about that. So we want to be on our destination, on time, not ahead of time. If we are able to reduce the speed during the flight, we do that. That also optimizes the service at the airport. We will be there on time, the gates are ready, we can serve our passengers the best if we make it there on time, not ahead of the time, not delayed either. Then I have to tell that Helsinki Airport is a great airport. We have 3 runways. Compared to London Heathrow, 2 runways. Hong Kong, now discussing about the 3rd runway. Helsinki-Vantaa already has that. That's why we are able to do CDA landings. The percentage on a good day is about 80%. And while coming down on the continuous descent, that reduces both noise and emissions. Noise is an important factor in our environmental work, especially near the airports area, where we have now big communities and they want us to limit the flying. But if we are able to show that something else can be done as well, CDA is a good example of that. At Helsinki-Vantaa also, you can change planes in about 40 minutes between the international flights. That's also sustainable for the passengers. No waiting times, no extra miles to walk. Then the big issue of this year, emission trading scheme. We think that aviation sector can reduce emissions in these 3 first pillars, but the emissions that it cannot do cannot diminish in these ways, then the market-based measures should be taken into account. But only global solutions, not local solutions like EU ETS. That is not good for the competition, that is not good for the environment either, and that is not a feasible solution. EU should see that there should be a global solution to this, not the one that is now getting us to the phase where we have this regional system. It's going to be a patchwork of different systems that we are now facing. Then there are partnerships. Like I said, that we will announce a partnership next week, but already now we have partnerships in place. We are not offering the compensation for our customers, compensation of their emissions, but we are rather offering partnerships. Together with Finnair Plus program, you can donate points, you can donate your time or money for the different projects that we have all around the world. We have local projects that helps us in the local markets, but also international projects where we can either help socially or then diminish emissions or diminish the environmental impact by taking part to these projects. But these are also doing good for our own employees, having good feel about your company. And this is becoming also more important for us and more important for most of you, I guess, as well. Because at least when applying a job, the potential employees ask about the company values, ask about the good things that the company does. This is becoming a norm, especially with the younger generation. They want to feel good about the company that they work for. This is also heading there, having these partnerships that also our own employees can take part to. And then we have recycling partnerships as well. Finnair rebranded last year all the items. We needed to change all the items that had old Finnair logo, old colors. So for instance, this bag is made of the old curtains and the seat belts. We did lots and lots of different projects about the old uniforms that, for instance, were recycled. 20,000 pieces of different kind of uniform parts, pants, jackets, caps, all those were reused and recycled in the different projects. We donated blankets to the refugee camps. We did recycle them as a material. There were new designs done from those. And it was actually a fun project, but at the same time doing good. And I find those projects very important also for the brand of the company. Then we are now this year taking part to the IATA's environmental audit program, the management program, because as said, most of our customers or also stakeholders like the ministries are asking about the environmental job or environmental management systems or sustainability systems that we have in place. The problem is that there isn't a suitable ISO 14000 system for the aviation sector, but this IATA system is geared towards the environmental system of the aviation sector and helps us then to show our progress and also to helps us to show what we can do internally. And the open dialogue. This one I think is very important so that we have dialogue with our stakeholders, answering their questions and also reporting the progress that we've made. I was just told yesterday that in this carbon disclosure project, the global disclosure project of the carbon footprint and the risk management of carbon, we got the best result that any airline has ever gotten, 92 out of 100, and that's a big race. Even last year we were the second best with our 78 points. Now we are in the leadership index with 92 points. And I think that shows the progress, because business can only manage what it measures. We can only diminish the things that we have been measuring for a longer time. We only then can have a strategy and program towards diminishing those issues. Also, we've been reporting all the aspects of the sustainability in GRI report. That one I also find very important. Sometimes one might ask, do you get lots of feedback on that? I usually say that whenever there is no feedback, we are doing well. Because if we don't, then the environmental groups then customers, then they come to us, and they even do already now. Especially in the Asian area, we see the emerging interest in the environmental issues and sustainability as such. Our salespeople around here get questions about the work that we do in this field. And then we tell the customers also, these are the things that we can do, but the travelers, they can also do something. They can check the environmental issues that the environmental management that the airline does. They can also compare different travel modes, but they have to be objective in this, and they are able to do that whenever we report, whenever we tell even the bad things, but also the progress that we are making as a sector, as an individual airline, as a transport mode. Thank you.